So you want to make sure you don't miss anything, right? So we go to y equals. Just make sure that there's no glare. Okay, so we go negative. Oops, I already have that entered on my calculator. So you go ahead and type this in. Exactly the way you see it. So you got to watch out because it's x cubed. How do you do x cubed? You have to use this. Sorry. If you look up here, you have to use this hat button. After you press X, you press the hat, then you press 3. And make sure that the cursor comes back down. So you got to go arrow sideways, perhaps, to bring it back down to the main level, so to speak. And then you continue. Is everybody able to type this in? We're all good with this? Once you type it in, you need a hand? Okay, I'll be right there. Do you have a question? Yeah. Go ahead. Only negative for the very first one. Everything else is plus or minus. Is that good? Yeah. It looks weird? So once you have this, watch what I do with the window, because that is going to be your biggest problem, okay? I'm going to hit graph. My graph looks perfect, right? But I'm going to go zoom 6. Let's all press zoom 6 so we reset our window. We reset our window. This is where, this is where I need you to pay attention. This is a cubic, right? The leading coefficient, which is A, what do we know about the leading coefficient? It is negative, correct? It's a cubic, right? It's cubic. And you know how it has B and C there? What do we know if there's a B and a C? It's going to have the turns, right? The two turns. If it's negative, we are expecting something like this, right? So I want you to know that that's what you expect. Even though you don't see a thing, that's what we're expecting. I see a little bit of the curve here, right here. So some of you might want to just change your window settings. Like you press window and then you're going to increase your Y max until you start seeing more. Let's try one of the zoom features. I'm going to try that. Zoom, and I asked you to try zoom fit from time to time. Okay, let's try that one. Not good. Because this is a word problem, chances are you're going to want to see from here further this way. So let's try now our window setting. Okay, so press window. And I'm going to change my X max. I want to see more sideways to the right. I'm going to try 100. It might be overkill, but let's see what happens when we change X max to 100. Graph. Not bad, right? We start to see this and it comes back up. So I'm going to increase my Y max, X max, pardon me, X max a little bit more. I'm going to go 120. There you go. So I see it coming down from left, right? It goes under the x-axis, up, and then back down. So I want to see a little bit more below, right? I need to see more at the bottom here. So I'm going to go window, Y min. I would always recommend Y min and X min to be negatives, for sure. Okay? So I'm going to go negative 20. Enter, hit graph. Why did you pick negative 20? Just because I felt like it. Okay, if you went negative 10 and it works for you, then you stop. Are we all seeing this? Yeah? It might take you some practice. Zoom Fit didn't really do a whole lot for me. I mean, at least it made me see some of it. So maybe that's your starting point. But you don't have to use it. Okay? So this is a pretty good graph. You see one turn, you see the other turn, you see all the intercepts, you see the y-intercept, you see the local min, the local max. There's kind of like a vertex here, another vertex there, right? So this is good. This is I would be happy with this on my screen right now. So let's go and find out what the question is asking me, okay? It's a roller coaster. Okay, so a word problem. Okay, so the path of a roller coaster. X represents the time in seconds. Y represents the height with respect to the ground in feet. Okay, so comparing it to the ground, we'll know the height in feet. So every single point is time and height. Okay, how do we know that for sure? Y is over there. That represents my height. X is on the right side, represents my time. The right goes underground, then comes up to a maximum height before reaching the ground again. That is worth highlighting, in my opinion, because it gives us a little bit of context around it. Okay. So now we can answer some questions. A, how high is the roller coaster at the start of the section of track? This would be at time 0 seconds. So basically, if x equals to 0, it's asking us what the height is. When x is equal to 0, what do we call that particular point? We have a name for it, the y-intercept, right? AKA, they're asking us for the y-intercept. Do we know what the y-intercept is? We know it's 40, but if you don't know, what's the function you can use? Second trace value, x is equal to 0. And then you'll find out that y is equal to 40. Okay? So if you put units next to this, it's in feet, correct? So if you just circle that, you're in business, right? You've got the right answer. 40 feet is what we're after. So at the very beginning, we're at 40 feet when you start the ride. Does that make sense, that it's 0? Okay. B, how long is the roller coaster below the ground level? How long is the roller coaster above ground level? This is a loaded question, okay? This is actually a little bit of a loaded question, but we'll give it a try here. Let's do a sketch. I think I like a visual here. And I'm going to mimic what I see on my, this is only a sketch, so don't worry if you don't get it right 100%. So I'm just going to say it starts here at time 0. It goes, at this point, it goes underground, then goes back, ground level, goes up, and then stops here. Okay. The stretch that's below ground happens from when? From this time to this time. Okay. So we're going to have to figure out this time right here. I call this time 1. And I'll figure out this one right here, time 2. You want to know, when do you start going underground and when do you end? What time does this end? So let's go ahead and find this out. So time 1, we'll figure out what that is. Time 2, we'll figure out what that is. How do we find these points here? What would we try? What is the y value for both of these? Like the y value here, 0. The y value there is 0. So guess what? You're trying to find the x value when y is equal to 0. So you're finding the x-intercepts in this case. Hit graph. You should see a red line right on the x-axis. Let's find this intersection here first. Second trace, intersection. You know what? I'm closer to the second one, so I'm just going to go close to it and hit enter 3 times. And I'll write down 4 decimal places. Why 4? Because we're not answering. It's not the final answer. So I don't want to round too soon. Repeat the whole step again. And then now go closer to that first intersection. That is 12.7019. So we call this delta time below. I don't care if you use the proper notation. Just show me that this is what you're doing. We can go dot, 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 minus 12.7, dot, 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 delta t, 40.2941 minus 12.7019. That's 27.59 seconds. This is below. Okay, so we just found the time below ground. What about above ground? This is way too loaded. The province would have only asked for either below or above. Like they wouldn't have made one question with that many steps. But this is what they would have expected you to do. How do you know if you're in doubt? This question would have been worth 2 marks because it's more than just finding 1 point. You're finding 2 points and you're subtracting. Yeah. You get a different answer. It matches my key. So most likely, maybe you typed it in slightly differently, the original. I'll give you let me finish this and then I'll give you a hand. Okay. This is below ground, okay? Next is, what does it ask after? If you go back to B, how long is the roller coaster above ground? So what is it asking for? It's asking for how long was it here, like this is above ground, and how long was it over here? Like the green, the time spent in the green. How could you possibly do that? Like what would be a strategy to figure out the time spent above? Yes? You start here, okay, and then find this one, subtract, and then you'll find this here, right? Okay, so we're almost there. And then I have to, from time 0, this is time 0, correct? And this one we already know, if you subtract that, and you subtract these times, and then add those, we got our time above. Is that a lot of work? Too much work. Too much work. There's a different way. Indirect reasoning. Did you hear that? Total time of the whole ride minus time spent below. I think that's much easier. But your system would have worked. Whatever you guys were thinking, if you were thinking, let's find this, let's find that, and then add it up, that would have worked. You would have not lost any marks. But I'm all about efficiency. So time above will go total minus time below. This is indirect reasoning. Remember probability? I know you loved it, and you couldn't wait for me to bring it up. But that's indirect reasoning instead of the other way around. What's the total time? Total is, if we were to find that intersection, we would actually find out the entire time. So let's go ahead and find that. Graph, second trace intersect. I'm going to go and trace all the way to that far x-intercept. I can't wait till they make a touchscreen TIs. Okay, so the total time is 106.6221. 106.6221 seconds. That's this one. I'm going to go arrow here. I hope it doesn't throw you off too much, but that's that one right there. So time above is 106.6221 minus this one right here. What? 62207. Sure. I think we're going to be fine. That's why I double. Yeah. 27.59. That's 79.03 seconds. That is, I'm going to give this a green color, right? So again, your calculator is a very powerful tool. Use it, right, to help you out with these types of questions. Okay? Let's keep going. C. What is the maximum and the minimum heights reached by the track? The max, guess what? We're going to go second trace max. And the min, it's going to be second trace min for us to get that. So let's go ahead and find that, whichever one you want to do first. I'm going to figure out the minimum here. Second trace minimum. Oh wait, of course I'm way over here. So I'm just going to travel a little longer, that's fine. So you got to go to the left of that low point. Hit enter, then you go to the right of it. You hit enter and enter one more time. And there it is. 25.34, negative 1126. So 25.34, negative 1126. I'm just writing down the coordinates for now. I haven't answered yet. Second trace max. You got to go, this is the one you're interested in. You got to go to the left of it, hit enter. Oops. To the right of it, hit enter, enter one more time. 8108, and this is 5221. Oh, hi. This sounds weird, but I was just thinking of you, Janmar. I'm not kidding. I was like, he's not here. That is so weird. Psychic. Anyways. Yeah. Sure. Okay, we haven't answered yet. So the max is 52.21 feet. The min is, what do you do with the 11 negative? What do you do with that? I would say this, 11.26 feet below ground. The other one is above ground. If you have a question where that is actually a thing, right, you have to mention above or below. I would say that's the safest thing to do when going below ground is an option. Okay, we were told by the question that it does go underground, so we're including that. D. What does D ask us? When does it reach a height of 45 feet for the first time? It's basically asking when is it reaching 45 feet for the first time. When you have that scenario, you want to let y2 be that y value, and then second trace intersect. Y2 is 45. So it doesn't, 45 is above the 40 line that you start. So it doesn't happen there. It happens here for the very first time. Go closer to it. Enter, enter, enter. So that is 69.38 seconds. Seconds into the ride. E is asking for how long does the ride stay at or above 15 feet. You let y2 be 15. You go second trace, intersect. Grab your calculator. Y2 is 15. You hit graph. We're going to skip this one. I'm just going to give you the answer because it's the same as before. Yeah. Same process as before. It's going to be 106.62 seconds. F. Oh, sorry. This was F. Can you scratch E? That's my bad. You're supposed to get, this is probably good practice for you, 59.65 seconds. And I'll explain it here in the video before I move on. Basically what I do is I find the 15 mark and I will subtract, I'll subtract like the time below from the total time, and then I find the time above. So same steps as the one we did in B. F, how much time was the roller coaster, how much time does it take to get to the very end? That is 106.62 seconds, which we already found. Okay, I let y2 equal to 0, and then I went second trace, intersect to get that. And now we're gonna graph this thing, because that's one last thing that you need to know how to do. Okay, we have enough information to get that done. So go to the grid there, label everything right away. So this is height in feet. This is time in seconds. You gotta have that if you want full marks, okay? What's the highest y value I need to account for? It is right here. The max is 52. You see that? 52 is the highest y value I ever get to. So that would be, let's see if I can make this work. 20, 40, 60. I think that'll work. And therefore, folks, therefore, I need to make sure I go down by the same amount, by 20 every single time. Okay. Will that fit my lowest value of negative 11? It will, right? I have enough room to fit that in. In terms of the x value, how far out do I need to go? What's the furthest I need to go? It's the total travel time, right? Which is 106. So let's see if I can make this work. If I go up by 20s, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, I'm gonna make it work. I'll make it work. And now you just need to plot it. Plot the points you have. I'm going to use a red pen for that. We know this one, 0, 40. We know both x-intercepts. One is at 12. This would be 10 right here. So 12 is right about there. The other one is at 40 something. That's like the second time when I come up. And the other one is at 106, which is right about there. So I have all three x-intercepts plotted. I'm going to find 25, negative 11. This is 30. 25 is right there. I need to go to negative 11. Right there. The other one is at 81. This is 81 right there. 52. So I'm going to go up to 52. This is 50. 52 is just above it. So you're basically just putting down the points that you found to begin with. So I go from here. The ride goes underground, reaches the lowest point, goes up to the highest point, and then stops right there. No arrowheads, because if you put an arrowhead here, then it means you allow for negative time, which is not true. If you continue below ground here, then you're saying the ride continues, and it's not true, right? So you're restricted. Fun stuff, eh? I know what you were thinking. I couldn't wait to teach you this. Okay, let's do domain and range right on here, even though I wouldn't want you to do that. The equation, if you want full marks, I would suggest you do that. If you don't mind losing half a mark. Oops, you don't see me labeling, but I did label the equation right there. Okay? Even if it's a bit scribbled, that's fine with us. Okay? Last but not least is the domain and range. For the domain, it's my x values. I posted a video on that. It asks, what's the lowest x value? What is the highest x value in this situation? The lowest usually is times 0. When it comes to time, it's going to be times 0. And the highest is when the ride ends, which is 106.62. For the range, what's the lowest value I ever get to when it comes to the y values? Right here, right? So that would be negative 11.26. And the highest I ever get to in this whole ride is 52.21. Okay. So, I'm going to ask you to try a cubic right away. And that's found on page 31 for now. So homework at the bottom of this page. I'll say page 31 is a cubic. Then I want you to try page 26, I believe, if you haven't done it already. Is a quadratic. Oh, you can't see that, sorry. Camera person is not very good today. Then I want you to try page 28. That's a linear. Okay guys, listen carefully to this part. I'm showing you skills. I'm showing you how I navigate using my calculator. We've done that in grade 11 as well. So I'm not necessarily gonna teach you or show you every single scenario. So sometimes I just expect you to kind of infer from what you've learned. You take some of the skills you've learned here, you transfer them over to a different scenario, okay? And I will be walking around. You've got half an hour, okay? I'll be walking around and making sure that you have, that calculator issues are addressed. Anything like that, I will address it, okay? Your task is to just do the work so that you get to the point where you need to ask me a question. Maybe you won't, but that's just it. Okay, for now,